This is TWiT.
The Senate, by acclamation, unanimously has voted to ban TikTok on government devices. The No TikTok on Government Devices Act, introduced by Senator Josh Hawley, of course, passed by unanimous consent late Wednesday. No one objected. The proposal prohibits certain individuals from downloading or using TikTok on any device issued by the United States or a government corporation. Now, obviously, they can't ban, 13 states have done the same. They can't ban TikTok from my phone because, you know, my personal phone or your personal phone or even a government employee's personal phone. But they sure would like to. Hawley said TikTok is a Trojan horse for the Chinese Communist Party, a major security risk to the United States, and until it is forced to sever ties with China completely, it has no place on government devices. Mike, you agree?
No, I think that there is a case for certain types of military personnel. So, for example, if you recall years ago, you could tell where there were secret bases for special forces in Afghanistan because the Fitbit data sort of showed everybody running around in all these Americans running around in the Afghan desert or something like that. But that's a rare case. I mean, most of us are not special forces deployed on secret bases. So I think there's a case to be made not just for TikTok but for any sort of device that harvests information. What I think. I think the states who are banning TikTok for government employees and now the Senate, it still has to be passed by the House and signed by the president. I think what the government, if the U.S. was serious about it, they'd really understand the risk. The risk isn't so much data. We've talked about this on this show before. The risk is their ability during a conflict to have a lot of propaganda. It's a powerful propaganda tool. I think that the U.S. government should figure out how to sort of monitor TikTok to a certain extent, to have a way to pull the plug if there was a conflict with China, that sort of thing. That would be rational. This is just like irrational. It's just a lot of posturing and pandering to the ignorant, essentially, making it seem like, oh, the Chinese government's watching everything we do, et cetera. I think it's BS.
I have to say, if I were the Chinese government trying to sway the American electorate, I might rush to Twitter faster than I'd rush to TikTok or Facebook.
It costs them $8 a month.
Yeah. TikTok, it's a little harder to sway public opinion. I mean, I guess there's two potential threats to TikTok. One is that it's gathering more information on you than you think or know. For that, I will refer you to a Kaspersky study, TikTok privacy and security. Is TikTok safe to use? Steve Gibson talked about this on Security Now this week. Essentially, their conclusion is it's no different than any other app on your phone. It does this. According to the New York Times, the CIA reportedly investigated TikTok, found no concrete evidence that Chinese intelligence authorities are spying on users. It does not exfiltrate an abnormal amount of information from your phone. If you're using an iPhone, it adheres to the same limits that Apple imposes on other social networks. So the two possibilities are it's spying on you or that it's going to be used to propagandize you.
Yeah.
If it's not spying on you, propaganda is a lot easier over on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'd say I want to disclose that they are one of our supporters, one of Connect Safely supporters. We do, in our Parents Guide to TikTok, raise the China issue. We did this like 2 years ago. We raised the China issue and simply reported what they claimed at the time is that they have no servers in China. Although it doesn't matter because you can be sitting in China and access a server that's anywhere in the world.
I do think TikTok has moved their U.S. data to Oracle. I think that
right, but it's theoretically possible for somebody to be sitting in Beijing and log in to a server that's located anywhere. But the point is, I think that much of the information that's on TikTok is quasi-public to begin with. I mean, I can go to TikTok and I can watch people do what they do. Now, admittedly, I don't know what they're watching. Only TikTok knows that kind of data. But I'm with Mike on this. I mean, do I worry at all about China and TikTok? Yes, But I also worry about the fact that Apple has a relationship with China. Everybody has a relationship with China. I mean, there's Chinese chips
Google.
in this phone that I have.
Except Google.
Wait, you saying there's no Chinese chips in a Pixel phone?
Well, that's the phone. Yeah, we're all using, unless you're using Samsung. Most phones, certainly iPhones and Google, are Google phones made in China? Or,
well, even if they're not made in China, I can't believe that some of
they used to be made by HTC, but I don't know. They might be made in China.
Anyway, my point is that, I mean, China is everywhere. You can't shop at Walmart without doing business in China with China. And I'm not saying that China is benign. I'm not saying that there isn't the possibility of extracting data, but I'm saying there's so much of that. And it is a fundamental, almost an existential question that Americans have to ask themselves. If we are worried about China, if we really think China is the evil empire of this century, then our entire economy has to be intertwined with it, because we are so in bed with China. I mean, when I was a kid, if you wanted to buy a pair of jeans, and I looked, it was something like $12 in the 1950s to buy a pair of jeans. That's like $200 or something today. You can buy jeans at Walmart or Amazon for $10, $12. Made in China or maybe Vietnam or somewhere else. But the point is that if we want to break ties with China, we better get ready to pay a lot more for our goods. Not to mention,
actually, the biggest risk from TikTok is just how compelling the content is. I mean, here's a perspective I can give that as somebody who lives in all kinds of different countries all the time. Almost everywhere you go, there are in a lot of countries like Morocco. We spend a lot of time in Morocco, for example. Police are sort of posted in public places, and they stand there, and their job is to watch what's going on. And almost to a person, the police are watching TikTok on their phones. Security guards, it's the same thing here in Oaxaca. You see, if a police person isn't driving or something like that, they're watching TikTok.
Great, they're watching TikTok and not you. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
TikTok look, if there's anything wrong with TikTok, it's that it's extremely addictive and entertaining.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And there are reasons for that, because it's pure algorithmic. It's not about social cues or anything like that. And it's kind of an amazing thing that's the sort of thing that others.
I will grant you that they are the best at gathering algorithmically gathering what you're interested in. They're very good at that. Nobody does that better.
That's right.
Is that hazardous to our health?
None of us. I don't know, but it's so good that none of us should admit what we see when we go to TikTok. That's how
because it's very telling.
Oh, that
very telling.
a couple thoughts on TikTok is, one of the things that TikTok has done, and there were signals that this was going to happen, that somebody was going to get this right for a while, which was the idea of mapping from the social graph, meaning that it's all about who you follow, and you have to follow the right people, and then you get the content that is aimed at you. What TikTok did and has done and is doing, and that others haven't been able to replicate yet, but are working on, is they've mapped the interest graph, right? So they understand your interests. They've been better essentially at machine learning and data, and they map your interests better. And so when you go there, I see a higher number of things that I actually want to see on TikTok than I do on Instagram, far more than Twitter, Facebook. I don't really go to any longer, YouTube even. So they have done this so well because that's what they were all about, right? They focused everything on that, and they're doing it better. I think the others will catch up, and I think we do have to keep in mind that TikTok is doing, I think, as much as they can to sort of put themselves at arm's length from China, from the Chinese government. Yet there are signs that there's still, some close ties there. I'll just share one. It's a little bit exceptional, but it is data-based. And Valuetainment last week, and Patrick Bet-David, who runs that, had this very inflammatory headline in this YouTube video that says how TikTok is destroying America and why it needs to be banned, which I think is over the top. However, he did run this experiment where he showed, here's what all of my views were. And the number of videos that I had that had 0 to 20,000 views, 20 to 100,000 views, 100,000 to a million, and over a million. And he ran this experiment where he says after he did that and he collected that data, he published a video and I think it was in August of this year. He published a video that was inflammatory and critical of the Chinese government. And then he tracked what the data was, the popularity of his videos afterwards up until last week. And you see that they massively dropped off, right? And we're now no longer promoted, right?
But is that a hazard to us that anything we say negative about the Chinese government will not appear on TikTok? Is that what we're worried about?
Well, I think
yeah. By the way, you can't say anything about Mastodon on Twitter either. I mean, is that what we're worried about? Really? I mean, is that what we're worried about?
What?
I think I'm more worried about, to be honest, valuetainment. YouTube is much more of a problem in terms of radicalization. If TikTok wants personal information, they can buy it like anybody else can from a data broker. Sure. If TikTok wants to sway our opinions, maybe that's possible. But the fact that TikTok downgrades negative comments about China, if that's the hazard we're worried about, that seems kind of de minimis.
I've dipped my toe in the TikTok waters here and there, and people talk about things like, views of the Chinese political system and all this stuff. I never saw anything like that when I go to TikTok. It's all more frivolous things and people like, doing things with fish and whatever.
It's their interest, their commercial interest to promote stuff you're going to watch more of, period.
Sure.
But again, I think there's a potential, and I think the Chinese government, the Chinese government, by the way, bans TikTok. Like you can't, TikTok is banned in China,
right?
Oddly enough. But I think that the Chinese government views TikTok as one lever of many that they have. If they were to invade Taiwan, for example, and there's a global conflict or whatever, I think they would go there. I think
I would worry more if it were the only source of information people were getting, and maybe it is with young people. I don't know, but,
right? Yeah. But that's why my view is that we should sort of be aware of that, of the potential propaganda element. Should that ever occur, and at that point, the plug could be pulled. I just hope it never comes to that. I hope there's no conflict over Taiwan, and But in the meantime, it seems like a lot of the political rhetoric around TikTok is kind of BS.
It also feels a little bit xenophobic to me, because there are plenty of American companies that are invading our privacy far more, and they're not doing anything about that.
Yeah, and I will say, I'm sorry.
And again, TikTok, or rather the Chinese Communist Party, if they want to influence Americans, have much more direct avenues to do so. Yeah.
And TikTok is pretty good. I mean, as again, they are one of the groups of companies we work with that connect safely, and their parental controls and their child protection systems, while none of them are perfect, are on par with what you would expect from a decent company. I mean, they do a good job trying to protect kids from bullying and other harm. So, from where I sit, I don't have any huge complaints about that aspect.
There was a story this week, which I didn't read because it seemed like link bait to me, that TikTok pushes harmful content every 2 minutes.
No, depends how you define harmful content.
Yeah.
If it's bikini, maybe, I don't know.
You're saying that if you are a teenager and you sign up, that every few minutes you're immediately pushed, toward content. They know nothing about you. You're immediately pushed toward content that is pushing you toward eating disorder kind of things.
And self-harm stuff.
So, self-harm.
So this is from the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Report they published this week found it can take less than 3 minutes after signing up for a TikTok account to see content related to suicide, which I have never seen on TikTok. I must be doing something wrong. Or about 5 more minutes to find a community promoting eating disorder content. Again, I must be doing something wrong because I haven't seen that.
I think the thing to think about, I think here, just to sort of put it in perspective, is that if we felt like, if we put one of the other platforms on the table, if it was Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, we'll sort of put all the rest of our Twitter conversation aside, and we felt like as soon as you started discriminating against or posting, hate speech, or we'll not even call it hate speech, criticism of, because to be fair, the valuetainment example, it was just criticism of the policies of the Chinese government. If any of us started publishing policies on any of these US-based Twitter platforms and all of criticism of the US government, and all of a sudden our content started having lower thresholds of followers and those kinds of things, I think we would have a problem with that. I think we would feel like that's not something we want to support, and that's not something that we want to think of as a platform that is creating the sort of atmosphere that we want. And so I'm not saying that everyone should stop using TikTok. I still use TikTok myself. I'm just saying we should go into all these things with awareness. We talked about earlier the fact that there was this false narrative that we were having a public town square, and come to find out it's not really public. And now we need to think about sort of a different path forward. And certainly this is just another example of the fact that these platforms are owned by companies, but now these companies are influenced by governments in ways that really we should have some transparency around the facts of what's really happening and what's really driving, especially these interest graph driven phenomenon, which is in TikTok today, but is likely to be in all of these platforms in the years ahead.
Yeah.
I think if we're going to have what Jeff Jarvis would call a moral panic over TikTok, what the real thing we should be panicking about or freaking out about or thinking about is the fact that algorithms and artificial intelligence that can custom tailor things just the way we want them. This is going to be ubiquitous. It's not. Yeah. This is not about TikTok. It's about everything, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We're entering in a world. We're entering into a world of where the vast majority, almost all of content that will be posted online will be synthetic media, right? Yeah. AI is going to write the words we read. It's going to create the pictures that we see. It's going to create videos we see. And this will be highly tweakable and customizable. And this is something that I think nobody's really talking about. TikTok is kind of doing us a favor because they're saying, here's a little tiny glimpse of how everything is going to work in the future. And that's what we should be talking about.
And it's going to get worse with the metaverse and AR and VR and whatever evolves from this. Because we're voluntarily putting ourselves into a virtual environment anyway, right? How do I know who that avatar really is? How do I know who's behind that avatar? That car that drives by, how do I know whether that's just some cool car somebody created or whether it's something that Ford is trying to get me to buy? I mean, there's so much that we are going to have to, put our critical thinking caps on if we want to survive the metaverse, and it's going to just be overwhelming.
Don't miss All About Android every week. We talk about the latest news, hardware, apps, and now all the developer-y goodness happening in the Android ecosystem. I'm Jason Howell, also joined by Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and our newest co-host on the panel, Wen Tu Dao, who brings her developer chops. Really great stuff. We also invite people from all over the Android ecosystem to talk about this mobile platform we love so much. Join us every Tuesday, All About Android on TWiT.tv.